today. Lots of people lined up outside MVP Arena. All the sessions here have been sold out earlier today. We had a game, but now we got Mackenzie Holmes playing in her final collegiate season and leading the Indiana Hoosiers in their upset bid against a premier big in Camila Cardozo of South Carolina, unbeaten on the season. Welcome to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. Packed house here in Albany to see South Carolina, the #1 overall seed, also unbeaten on the season, take on Indiana, that large team out of the Big Ten. Earlier today, we had a thriller between Notre Dame and Oregon State. Reagan Beers with yet another double-double as they were able to have a late burst to take down Notre Dame. Oregon State has advanced on to the Elite Eight for the first time since 2018. They will take on the winner of this game coming up on Sunday, bottom half of the bracket. They will get things rolling in Portland later on today. And we welcome you back to Albany, Pam Ward, along with Stephanie White, national champion, national player of the year at Purdue, Hall of Famer Holly Rowe will join us shortly. South Carolina's lost 3 games in the last 3 seasons, relying a lot on bigs, but this year they have premier guard play as well.
They absolutely do, and it's been the reason for their success. I mean, you think about the 36-1 record before losing to Iowa in the Final Four, and then the revenge tour. What happens? 5 players selected in the WNBA draft. All 5 starters. They have to start over. They have to rebuild. And what do they do? 34-0. Outstanding job by Dawn Staley and her squad. But they've done it because the guard play has been outstanding. Not only do they play so well in transition where they are elite, but execution in the quarter court. The ability to break down defenders. Here you see Malaysia Full-Wiley in the 2-man. Regia Jackson doesn't come over to plug the gap. That opens up a one-on-one opportunity, so they break you down in the quarter court. And then all eyes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. Eyes on Camila Cardozo on the interior. South Carolina has not had consistent three-point shooting up until this season. They continue to knock down 3 after 3. And you look at that number, 40% from the three-point line. That's the difference in this year's South Carolina team.
And for Indiana, they have a premier player themselves. Mackenzie Holmes has been so solid for them now in her final season for the Hoosiers.
Mackenzie Holmes has the career scoring record for the Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, she is a player, an All-American a season ago, who has been decorated. She has continued to develop and grow and get better, has been dominant on the interior. And certainly the loss at home in the second round to Miami a year ago fueled her fire to get back to this position.
Holmes was not entirely healthy last year. She was put up very healthy numbers this season. Only Megan Gustafson has put up comparable numbers. Gustafson was so terrific at Iowa, but still, they are the decided underdog in this game. Let's go over to Holly Rowe.
Well, Mackenzie Holmes of Indiana told us, listen, we know on paper, maybe even in person, we're not supposed to win this game. South Carolina is building a dynasty. We understand how good they are. So she said, we've had a great season, and we are actually the more experienced team. We have veterans. We have people who have been in these moments before, and so we will take advantage of our experience. She also said that for 40 minutes, the one thing she knows about her team is they will not quit. But for Dawn Staley, she said her team is so loose and yet focused. Tahina Paopao said, we don't feel pressure right now. We know we just have to go out and be ourselves, and they think that version is good enough to win anything.
Let's take a look at today's starting lineup brought to you by Capital One. Sarah Scalia has had a terrific year, also a senior on this team. Sydney Parrish, an Oregon transfer, and the usual starting 5 for South Carolina. Paopao has been tremendous. Another Oregon transfer, and Cardozo getting ready. And you see the height advantage over Mackenzie Holmes, and we are underway. South Carolina, the #1 overall seed, doesn't take long to get the shot and to break out on top. It's Bree Hall. He's been somewhat of an unsung hero for this team, but gosh, they're so deep. Terry Moran, the head coach for Indiana, as Holmes takes the shot. Terry Moran says they don't have a starting 5, they have a starting 10. Follow shot good by Sydney Parrish.
Well, what a sign already for South Carolina. Bree Hall has struggled at times from the three-point line. Knocks down one to start this ball game, and here's another! Tahina Paopao. Just what we discussed in the open, the difference in this year's South Carolina team, their ability to knock it down from the three-point line.
They lost in the Final Four, in the national semifinal to Iowa. Last year, they were unbeaten, but they missed 16 of their 23s in that game. Whole different story this season. With 5 new starters. Raven Johnson bringing the ball up. Second team all-conference this year for South Carolina. Holmes with the unenviable task of trying to stop Cardozo. Relentless defense led by Ashlyn Watkins. Paopao, oh, she was just getting ready to pull it, but Michael McConnell blows his whistle.
Well, right from the opening tip, Bree Hall knocking down a three. Tahina Paopao, you go under the screen. I'm going to show you the bottom of the net. The game plan for this Indiana Hoosiers team is going to be in the gap. Shallow, short closeouts, go under screens, force South Carolina to consistently knock down three-point shots, and they come out hot.
South Carolina on the season, averaging their most threes under Dawn Staley since she has been there. Cardozo again. South Carolina with 10 points in the first couple of minutes. Holmes driving it. Outside shot. Indiana's going to have to hit these. That's Garzone. Garzone, the sophomore from Israel. Started every game of her career, now in her second season in Bloomington. Watkins chased it down, but she was out of bounds. Hoosier basketball. On the left, Dawn Staley, enough said. Has a couple of national championships with this team, and Terry Morin's done a tremendous job reviving this Indiana program.
Yeah, she really has, and an Indiana team who we mentioned upset on their home floor a year ago. Their mission has been to get to this point.
Indiana was a #1 seed, lost in the second round to Miami, which went to a spectacular Elite 8 run under Katie Meyer. Second chance. Johnson. Here's Paopao. Held back there by Garzone. The kick by Holmes will put 4 seconds back onto the shot clock. Indiana coming in after a tough win against Oklahoma in the second round. Paopao with the miss, where South Carolina cruised, beating North Carolina in their last game. Garzone wide right. Johnson with the drive, left it short. Nolan McNeil, the point guard, comes up with it. And now Holmes, she doesn't have Cardozo on her. Instead, it's Watkins who slammed the ball down after the foul call. Holmes was asking for perhaps a technical foul there, but none coming.
Well, that's a great recognition by Indiana, trying to get Mackenzie Holmes a touch on the low block with Ashlyn Watkins. Now, Ashlyn Watkins is an outstanding defender, can block shots, so Holmes using her body.
No Hoosiers on the free throw line as Holmes knocks it down. Mackenzie, unanimous first team, all Big Ten performers, made some All-American teams this season as well. Now Chloe Kitts comes in for Watkins. Ashlyn Watkins coming off the bench for some games with Dawn Staley, who actually followed her down the bench to continue talking to Ashlyn. When Dawn Staley speaks, people listen.
Yeah, I think so. And how about, Terry Morin mentioned it, that Dawn Staley basically has 10 starters, but Chloe Kitts had been starting for much of the season. Ashlyn Watkins in the postseason in the starting lineup. But Chloe Kitts has been outstanding in the NCAA tournament.
Coming off the bench for them. Coach Staley said that she took the news of not starting very well. That is a travel Scalia couldn't quite get going.
And I love that matchup, putting Bree Hall on Sarah Scalia, utilizing her length. She's going to be able to get back in plays because they're going to run Sarah Scalia off of multiple screens every time down the floor, and Bree Hall can use that length to get back into play if she gets clipped.
We'll give Mackenzie Holmes a little bit of a break. Lily Meister, a sophomore from Rochester, Minnesota, comes in to spell her. Taken away by Moore McNeil. Challenging Kitts, gets it over where it is left short by Parrish. But another offensive rebound for Indiana. But Meister stepped out of bounds.
Missed opportunities for Indiana. You know, one of the things when you're playing a team like South Carolina and you're trying to slay a giant right here, right? You got to be able to convert when they give you opportunities. You get stops, you got to be able to get scores. It's not good enough just to play good defense. You got to be able to score the basketball as well.
One of the keys certainly for Coach Moore. South Carolina out to the early three-point lead. Hall drives against Meister. Good defense by the sophomore. Now here comes Parrish. Good box out by Fagan. Fagan from Pow Pow.
Good box.
Sydney Parrish with a terrific box out. And then Scalia hits it. One of the best three-point shooters in the country. Got the two, and it's only a one-point ball game.
So you withstand the first run if you're Indiana. You got to be able to answer runs, but you got to minimize the amount of run.
Fagan backed in to Meister. We have a whistle and a ball game. 10-9 South Carolina, timeout. Welcome back to Albany, where we go to today's Need to Know, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. And this is all about South Carolina's dominance over the last 3 seasons. We started off with the national championship. They've only lost 3 games in those 3 seasons, unbeaten last year, beating up on ranked opponents, unbeaten last year until they got into the national semifinal, leading the nation this year in scoring margin. Iowa took them out in the Final Four, and right now there's back-to-back undefeated seasons. And over the last 3 seasons, no one has outscored teams more so than South Carolina. And they are certainly the favorite, the #1 overall seed, unbeaten on the season, barely escaped in the SEC tournament when Cardozo, of all people, hit a 3 to beat Tennessee.
And Pam, you look at this team and you watch them in practice, and this is a fairly young team. Right? A lot of players who haven't been in this position before, and they're loose, they're free, they're enjoying themselves. You know, Dawn Staley, sometimes they're a little too loose for her, right? They have to kind of rein them back in a little bit.
Parrish. Missed 7 games with a foot injury in mid-January to mid-February. Coach Moore said that kind of was a gut punch, but they were able to recover from that. Good look on the 3, and South Carolina with the answer.
Bree Hall's a difference maker. I mean, she really is. Not just what she can do on the defensive end of the floor, but no matter how she's shooting the ball throughout the course of the game, she always seems to hit the big one.
That's a tough shot for Kitts. McNeil, good look away, but South Carolina was able to recover. It's all alone on that side of the floor with Parrish. To 10 for Wiley, gets it up And they hit it. The bucket was going for Raven Johnson. Nothing wrong with his response after India kept closed.
Indiana team that likes to run a lot of its sets. So you're going to have to defend multiple actions. And Sarah Scalia, 43% from the three-point line, is able to get a little bit of space and knock it down.
And the very best in the entire country. Scalia. Here's at Minnesota.
I get across.
Over to Indiana, that's right. We saw that earlier today. Notre Dame forced Oregon State to a couple of turnovers. Pressure in the backcourt. Oregon State will win over the Irish. The winner of this game will get Oregon State. Good ball movement. The kids didn't quite get it, and then Parrish.
This year's South Carolina team is so different. Their ability to knock shots consistently from the three-point line, the extra pass. Raven Johnson, the corner three, is really the answer for the Hoosiers from Sarah Scalia. But South Carolina, 4 for 5 from the three-point line to start the ball game.
That's the big difference maker for this team over what last year's teams and teams in the past had for Dawn Staley. They're averaging over 6.5 threes per game. By far the most understated since she took over.
And you got to pick your poison, right? And you've got the Cardoso who can do just that on the interior. So you got to pack the paint to try to minimize her opportunities. And when you've got three-point shooters who can knock it down consistently, it sure makes it tough.
Mackenzie Holmes just picked up her second foul. As big as Cardoso heads to the line, where she's 68% free throw shooter on the season. For the fourth straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. Information, go to NCAA.com to 90 NCAA Championships. 1 out of 2. It's the opening game of the tournament. In the SEC Championship game against LSU. TCU's in this region too.
They absolutely are. How fun is this going to be?
UCLA is here as well, and Iowa. There's a lot of great talent here at Albany. All sessions have been sold out in this building. We'll hear from Terry Morin, now her 10th year, two-time Big Ten Coach of the Year. Lowe is here, and interview coach coming up. Scalia likes that little step back three. That one
goes over to the right, which is often that right-handed shooter. Typically, like that step back going to the left.
Caitlin Clark has kind of perfected that.
She sure has.
Here tomorrow.
Great hustle by Cardoso to get back into play.
And then it results in a Tessa Johnson bucket. How do you like that? The 6'7" Cardoso getting down on the floor.
Hey, you don't have the luxury against the South Carolina team to get beat on the 50-50 balls and the hustle plays.
Parrish missed from the outside. Pow. It was announced she will come back next year to use her last year of eligibility. And super freshman Malaysia Fulwiley. This game was tied at 12 apiece, and since then South Carolina has rolled.
I mean, this is outstanding hustle by Camila Cardoso to come from out of bounds and get an extra possession for the Gamecocks. Tessa Johnson on the receiving end gets an easy 2, and Fulwiley. We're going to have to talk about this on-ball defense coverage in a timeout.
Welcome back. Here are today's great plays presented by Great Clips.
Well, we talked about it in the open. The three-point shooting of this South Carolina ball club. 5 of 7 on the day so far, and that's 4 different players have knocked down a three. Indiana's game plan to force them to hit contested shots from the three-point line, and South Carolina has responded early in this matchup.
5 of 7, that's 75% from distance for Carolina. This game had been tied at 12, since then a 14-3 run. And there is a great look at Malaysia Fulwiley, who head coach Dawn Staley says is a generational talent. And this is a kid from Columbia, as is Ashlyn Watkins. Said she remembers going to see games. She said it was a long time ago. She could barely remember who she saw. It was Tiffany Mitchell. So yeah, that was, she would go as a fan.
It wasn't that long ago.
Well, to her it was. When you're 18, that's a long time ago, right? But stayed home. Played AAU ball with Watkins. They both stayed home.
Look at this defensive effort. I mean, up into the offensive players.
Shot clock dying. Offensive rebound to keep the possession alive by Meister. Now the cut to the basket and another block as the first quarter comes to a close. South Carolina up 26-15. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Here is a look at Indiana's Fueling the Run, brought to you by Wendy's. And this senior class, Mackenzie Holmes in particular, the grad from Gorham, Maine, along with Sarah Scalia, who came over from Minnesota. This class doing great things. 8 tournament wins in the last 4 seasons. Terry Morin in charge. Here she is with Holly.
Well, Coach, it's a darned if you do, darned if you don't with Camilla in the post, and now they're hitting threes. How do you balance your defense to cover both areas?
We're going to have to try to change our coverage and the ball screens right now and try to hedge a little bit more, bridge as we call it. We can't keep going under right now because they're too hot. But yeah, I mean, just pick your poison right now. We got to try to do a better job inside of trying to double and dig a little bit harder when Cardoza catches it. But you know, this is a great South Carolina team.
Mackenzie Holmes picks up the 2 fouls. How do you navigate that right now in the first half?
Lily's going to have to, you know, put her big girl hands on, right? And get in there and guard and have to come up with some offensive rebounds just like she just did. But we got to hit some shots from the outside to help us.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Hitting shots from the outside has been key for Indiana, and just scoring in general, Steph. The big difference between their 26 wins and 5 losses.
Mean, look at it right there. It's the three-point shooting. It's exactly what it is. 42% in their wins, 27% in their losses. And if you want to have a chance to compete with South Carolina, you've got to hit a lot of threes, like double-digit threes. Indiana needs to hit at least 15, 16 threes to give themselves a chance.
Just 3 of 12 in the first quarter. Pam Ward, Stephanie White, and Holly Rowe joining you from Albany. A Sweet 16 matchup. #1 overall seed South Carolina taking on Indiana. The winner will get Oregon State in a couple of days. Oregon State with an impressive win over Notre Dame earlier today in this building. Great turnaround for the Beavers, who only won 13 games last year. A lot of them still sticking around to watch. Fulwiley at the free throw line.
You know, my favorite part about Terry Morin interview was when she said it's time for Lily Meister to put her big girl pants on. That is a Lynn Dunn euphemism.
It sure is, right?
If there ever was one. And Terry Morin, of course, played for Lynn Dunn at Purdue.
Oh, Raven Johnson just bowled over Amendola. No call. Lynn Dunn now working for the Indiana Fever, who have the first overall pick in the draft. What are you seeing?
Sarah Scalia, I mean, that whole play developing. She started on one side. You knew she was eventually coming back. First time a stagger screen, that time a triple screen.
Rebound out of bounds, stays with the Gamecocks. Scalia with an Indiana record this year. She's hit over 100 threes on the season, averaging over 3 threes per game.
Well, Terry Morin talked about the growth of Sarah Scalia. Yes, she's a great scorer, but a year ago she had trouble staying on the floor because she wasn't defending. And Terry Morin challenged her, coached her, told her if she wanted to have more minutes on the floor, she needed to be a great defender as well as a great scorer.
And to her credit, she's done just that. Mackenzie Holmes told us that when Scalia played at Minnesota, the scouting report would say for Indiana about Scalia, doesn't guard anybody.
Yeah.
That has changed.
Yes. Yes, it has.
There's Scalia driving on Fagan, who blocked it. Just when you think you have daylight, it gets dark again.
I mean, this is an outstanding South Carolina defensive team, and you think you're by, but you're not. Fagan, great job of staying in the play and getting that block.
Off the inbounds. Amendola, the freshman from Texas, was the high school player of the year down there last year. Fagan, another big body they can bring in. More McNeil. Scalia, nice pass. Can she beat Fulwiler? Yes, she can. Johnson handling the ball. Pow on the bench right now for Carolina. Outside shot. Goes over the backboard.
So great job securing the defensive board, and that allows Indiana to get out in transition. Got to find a way to get some easy buckets. And that's one right there. I mean, we're talking about the most efficient offensive team in the country in Indiana and the most efficient defensive team in the country in South Carolina. So finding ways to get high percentage looks and to knock them down, critical for the Hoosiers.
Indiana leading the nation in field goal percentage at just under 51%. Mackenzie Holmes back in with the 2 personal fouls, as is Cardozo. More McNeil with the 3. Gets the lead down to 6. It's a 7-0 run. Tessa Johnson quiets down the Indiana faithful.
Tessa Johnson coming off a game against North Carolina where she had 11 points. Again, another player who can come in and just fill it up offensively, knocking down shots.
Pass was too ambitious trying to get it into Mackenzie Holmes.
I mean, Chloe Moore McNeil early in her career was not shooting this shot. It was not a shot that Terry Morin wanted her to shoot. She has continued to work on her game. Now she is lethal from the three-point line. And Terry Morin talking about Chloe Moore McNeil and Mackenzie Holmes. They didn't come in as highly recruited kids. They have been the 2 most developed players in the history of her program.
Rosa working the baseline nicely. Holmes wanted a travel call. Moore McNeil with the ball in her hands had a triple-double this year against Michigan State, the 4th in the history of IU. There's a 3. Garzon. Watkins gets it over into the corner. Right back to Ashlyn, who calmly put it into the bucket.
Such patience. The ball goes side to side. It gets a paint touch, it comes back out, attacking a closeout. I mean, excellent offensive execution.
Contact in front of the South Carolina bench, and it's a foul on Watkins.
Terry Morin told Holly, we got to knock down open shots, and Yarden Garzon, this is one of the best things that she does, knocking down threes and a little drive and drop, rotations a little bit late. Ashlyn Watkins able to get the easy 2.
Watkins also has 2 personal fouls. Don Staley is going to look down like all the options to get Watkins some rest with the 2 fouls. McNeil picked up her dribble. Here's Scalia. Moore McNeil with Bree Hall on the deck, hits another 3. ball. Driving on Holmes. Went for the block and got it. Remember, she's playing with 2 fouls, so a little risky. That's a foul on Raven Johnson.
That was a good call, Pam. That's a foul.
That's a foul. Thank you. I'm a professional.
And a great job of Chloe Moore McNeil of coming to meet that pass, because that could have easily been a steal for 2 on the other end of the floor.
Moore McNeil, look how fired up she is over there on the sidelines. Indiana has hit its last 3 threes after missing 10 of its first 13. Crucial to staying in this game. Yep. And that's a travel. 6 turnover now for the Hoosiers. So Holmes goes out, and Lily Meister, she of having to put on her big girl pants, is back in. Lily is a sophomore. The average is about 11 minutes per game, pardon me, for Indiana.
And think about the opportunity for growth for Lily Meister going against Mackenzie Holmes every single day in practice.
And now she's got Cardozo.
And you see the change in the on-ball string coverage, but there is no defense for that. Again, continue to be impressed with South Carolina's ability to get to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th action in offense.
Another turnover. Raven Johnson comes away with it and was held up in the backcourt. Foul upcoming on Gozon.
Well, the Indiana Hoosiers had an answer. Chloe Moore McNeil wanted that one. Knocking down a 3, but on the other end, Camila Cardoso. There is no defense for this.
Elman Horster. Laikas sultims, laikas pokalbiams.
One thing that Indiana needs to do is try to guard Camila Cardozo, which is next to impossible no matter who the opponent.
I mean, Camila Cardozo is doing a really good job of getting her low block position, of staying aggressive. This is what Dawn Staley wants. She doesn't want her overpassing, expecting a double team. She wants her surveying and continuing to put pressure on the defense. There's not one player who can check Camila Cardozo one-on-one, and she's gone to work early.
So Indiana hanging in there, outscoring them by 3. And you heard Andrea Carter in the studio said, yeah, Mackenzie Holmes already with 2 personal fouls. She is on the bench right now, getting some extra rest around the timeout, but important to try to keep her out of foul trouble as much as possible. South Carolina with so much depth. 9 Gamecocks has scored. Jermaine Ogumake and Earl Duncan in the studio for us. Going to be a great game. 2 more games coming up later today from Portland. Day 1 of the Sweet 16. Johnson looking for somewhere to go. Cardozo inside to Kitts, who is fouled as she hits the shot.
Again, just great recognition by South Carolina. There's a switch, so now there's a guard that has to try to check Chloe Kitts one-on-one. Camila Cardozo recognizes it. Chloe Kitts gets an opportunity to get an and 1. I mean, Chloe Kitts, 21 points against Presbyterian in the first round, 12 points, 4 for 5 from the floor in the second round as well. I mean, she's a player who can continue to give you production off of the bench.
And in that game against Presbyterian in the first round, hit all 9 of her shots, completed the 3-point play to get the lead up to 11. Bench points, not surprisingly, in favor of South Carolina because they seem to have 20 people on the bench. Here's Holmes, in and out. Pow back in. Cardozo setting the screen. Johnson rimmed it out, and that's an over-the-back call on Kitts. First foul on Chloe. And Staley over on the sideline.
I think Dawn Staley has a lot of fun with this team. There are times because of their youth that they probably drive her crazy. But she can coach them, she can challenge them, they can keep her a little bit loose with that youth as well.
He's had to have some tough conversations with players. Holmes got stuffed by Cardozo. Johnson and Pau on the court at the same time. Kitts. Pau too tall for Kitts, but Johnson rescues it, puts it up, and in. Even when they seem like it's becoming an empty possession, they get points. 7-0 run. Their zone backing up on Kitts. Tough shot, and she hit it.
Basket by number 12, Jordan, their zone.
Well, the Hoosiers doing a good job of continuing to not allow runs to get into double figures. Got to be able to answer with scores of your own, but execution for the Gamecocks in the half court has been outstanding, and that possession was no different.
Cardozo.
Got it into Cardozo, who is now into double figures. Their zone. Hall is a really good defender. They called that an offensive foul.
I mean, watch this block by Camila Cardozo on the other end of the floor. She got it before it even got out of Mackenzie Holmes' hands. And then on the other end, you mentioned it, a broken play. Raven Johnson able to come up with the ball, and then execution. South Carolina, Indiana playing this gap defense, so South Carolina able to move the ball wherever they want to, and they are just picking the Hoosiers apart.
Cardozo with 11 points, 5 of 6 from the floor. Nice baseline move by Bree Hall. Ron Staley says Hall is the ultimate teammate. Finds other ways to impact the game with her teammates, gets everybody involved. Holmes for 3, nope. Here's Kitts. As Hall picks herself up. For Wiley. Wiley probably should have shot it, tried to get it into Cardozo. And now Parrish cut off by Kitts.
You better get Holmes a touch while you can.
Yep, because Cardozo's not on her. McKenzie recognized and finished with her left hand.
And that's how she's going to have to get touches. She's going to have to get down in transition. She's going to have to force some switches.
So Wiley got fouled on the other end. Mackenzie Holmes had missed her first 5 shots before she hit that one.
Well, you know, South Carolina was just cruising through the season. #1, beating everybody by big margins, and they started to hit a little lull. They said they got comfortable or relaxed part of the season, and they were down a few games at the half, getting out to some slow starts, but nearly losing a game this season against Tennessee. The SEC tournament game came right down to a last-second shot. Camila Cardozo had to hit an improbable 3-pointer to win that game. And Tahina Pau told us since that moment, they have completely shifted their mindset. She said, we don't ever want that feeling again of thinking we had lost that game in that moment. And now the games mean even more. That has gotten their attention. They have refocused, reconnected, and determined that they will never feel that way again. We've seen that here in the first half. It got a little tight, and they just locked in, focused, and here they are with a big lead.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, sometimes with young teams, you can take moments for granted. Some days don't show up with everything that you need from a mentality standpoint, and that woke this team up, and they have been on a tear ever since.
After that near loss to Tennessee, Coach Staley said they exhaled after that. They took a few days off after the SEC tournament, and things have certainly changed. 2 convincing wins in the first 2 rounds of this tournament, and they're up here by 15. Sydney Parrish was called for an offensive foul on the other end for Indiana, her second. Pau Pow taking her time. Look back at Coach Taylor. You said go. So Wiley, Cardozo just there to clean it up. More McNeil couldn't handle it cleanly, and then Cardozo swatted it out of bounds. South Carolina has 4 scoring runs of at least 7 points in a row.
And if you get them to miss a shot, they're so good on the offensive glass. They're able to continue to give themselves possessions.
It's a 15-4 run by the Gamecocks to take their biggest lead of the afternoon, up 49-32. Cardozo leading the way. She has 13 points. 9 Gamecocks have scored. They're up big at the half. Let's go over to Holly.
Well, Bree, your team came out, in particular you, hitting threes early in this game. How does that completely change how teams have to guard the three-point line and Camilla?
I think it makes it hard, honestly. I think a lot of people are used to packing into paint against us, but, we've been working all season long on our three-point shots, so I think it makes it really hard.
Indiana made a little run there. What changed with your team to kind of separate going into halftime?
I think it's honestly our defense. We're really getting all the rebounds and just playing really solid defense and guarding that three-point like Indiana does.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, Bree Hall, terrific for the Gamecocks so far. They're up by 17 at the break. Let's go to the studio now for the Dove halftime report. Welcome back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. #1 overall seed South Carolina with a 17-point lead at the half here in the Sweet 16. The winner will get Oregon State tomorrow, and you see South Carolina just dominating, especially inside. Pam Ward along with Stephanie White. Holly Rowe is with us as well. Let's check out our most reliable team, brought to you by Xfinity, owning the paint.
Yeah, South Carolina's been dominant on the interior. Here we're going to see perfect execution. Yarden Garzone on the backside starts to pinch down a little bit to help on Cardozo inside, but then she forgot. They've been raining it from the three-point line, so no, I've got to get out. There's no pressure on the passer, no denial of a ball reversal. It's an easy high-low and an easy 2 for South Carolina, but they've been doing it in multiple ways, attacking mismatches, recognizing, getting it delivered, getting it on the interior to Camila Cardozo. Guards attacking in the paint as well.
Take a look at our game track brought to you by Invesco QQQ. South Carolina has had 9 players score. 5 of them have at least 5 points. 3-point shooting, so crucial. South Carolina at a high clip. Mackenzie Holmes just 4 points tonight, and she's got in some foul trouble.
Well, it's tough to ask Mackenzie Holmes to check Camila Cardozo one-on-one and then try to go against her on the offensive end of the floor. They're going to have to continue to find ways to move her around, to find her when she's got mismatches. But other players for Indiana have got to step up.
And as you can see, the tension is just killing South Carolina right now.
I'm telling you, yesterday in practice, it's the same. This is a group that is really loose. They enjoy themselves. They enjoy one another. They understand when it's time to lock in. If they don't, if they have their moments, Dawn Staley will quickly remind them.
Yes, they're under no uncertain terms. Pow with the basketball in her hands. Again, the winner will get Oregon State on Sunday, with a trip to the Final Four on the line. Pow just with 3 points in the first half, but there's so much depth on this team. Watkins inside hits it.
Ashlyn Watkins had 2 early fouls and sat a majority of that first half. I like the fact that Dawn Staley goes to her and gets her established early in the second.
McNeil hit a couple of big shots from the outside. Holmes now 0 for 4 from distance in the game.
Well, not something you typically see from Mackenzie Holmes, but because of the matchup with Camila Cardozo, she's open and she needs to take those shots.
Now Holmes takes it away. Sydney Parrish up to their zone. She is capable from 3-point range, and boy, that just was halfway down. Holmes was just bowled over Cardozo with no obstruction after that. Biggest lead of the game now, up to 21 points. And you mentioned how unusual it is for Mackenzie Holmes to take 4 threes in this game. She only took 8 threes all season before today.
Well, I was asking Terry Moore about the extent of Mackenzie Holmes' range, and she said she works on her 3 every day. She's got to be able to be in pick and pop situations to try to get some openings, because she's not going to get a one-on-one on the block.
That's a tough look for Scalia. Rebounds her own miss and rolls it in. Scalia and Holmes, the 2 Indiana Hoosiers who are using up their final year of eligibility this season. Powell has already said she will come back to South Carolina next year. Fires away. Here's Scalia. And that one goes over to the bench for the turnover. 10 turnovers now for the Hoosiers, and Terry Moore, her club winners of 26 games this year. Lost in the Big Ten quarterfinal, but in the regular season finale, Mackenzie Holmes actually tweaked her knee. So she was at certainly not the Mackenzie Holmes that we're used to seeing, has a brace on that left knee.
Well, if you remember last year, had the same issue with her knee. It's a problem that she's been dealing with throughout her career, and there's another 3 by Raven Johnson.
Yeah, it was that 3 last year. One reason why they went out in the second round to Miami. Miami went on as a 9 seed all the way to the Elite 8. Happy retirement, by the way, Katie Meyer.
Yes.
We're going to miss you. That is in, and a chance for a 4-point play for Garzone. Ashlyn Watkins commits the foul.
Terry Moore always talks about Yarden Garzone, and just in no moment rattles her. And here she just catches behind the handoff. Ashlyn Watkins goes out to try to contest and gets in the landing space, making contact with Garzone.
Watkins staying in there with the 3 fouls.
Well, Garzone is playing this season with a lot on her mind. She is from Israel. Her family lives about 50 miles away from Tel Aviv, and as that conflict continues to rage on, she's concerned about her friends, her family that are in that conflict zone. Her teammates are keeping her focused and grounded. They're there for her when she needs them, but this is a very trying time for her as she worries about her loved ones in Israel.
Powell from distance, her second 3 of the game.
Yarden Garzone's sister in the military, and in Israel, as soon as you graduate high school, you're required to serve military time, so she is constantly in tune with what's going on with her family and friends back home.
That's just the second field goal for Holmes. Underneath, that's a terrific look. Bree Hall with another unselfish play. Cardozo with another basket. Garzone gets around Cardozo. And then Parrish knocks one home from the top of the circle. Indiana's hit 4 straight shots, but the problem is South Carolina's not missing either. Powell triggered the 3. Tips away from Watkins as they tried to get it inside to Holmes. Johnson directing traffic. That is a good choice. Watkins flashes in the lane. Holmes running the floor hard because she knew Cardozo was behind her and they missed her.
Yeah, missed opportunity to get her one-on-one with Watkins.
And Holmes looks a little gassed right now. Parrish, again, her second 3 of the half.
We talk so much about the South Carolina team, but I continue to be impressed with just the way that Raven Johnson is running the team. Getting him into actions, getting them touches for Camila Cardozo inside, calling the right plays.
Air ball for Hall, rebounded by Parrish. Parrish has scored the last 8 points now for the Hoosiers. There's a timeout. Indiana back to within 13.
Welcome back to Albany. It is time for the Get More, brought to you by Geico. And to get more, we had to show you a little comparison. Watching some old Dawn Staley highlights lately, and I was like, man, this looks familiar. Look at her freshman with the flavor. Lay with the butter is so good, but she reminds me of Dawn Staley back in her prime where she was tearing it up for Virginia. They have so much speed, creativity, and flair, whether it's them scoring or dropping dimes, getting others involved. Just had to bring you back through the time machine because I think it's fun to see just how similar these two are and why Dawn can be such a good coach for this young freshman.
And Dawn Staley was, as you said, Holly, so terrific in her career at the University of Virginia. There you see the comparisons. Dawn called on to do some more scoring for that team. Tammy Reese was in the backcourt with her, the Burge twins, Dina Evans.
I remember watching Dawn Staley in the Final Four. I believe it was in Knoxville at that time. And I mean, she was so flashy, yet under control, and so competitive and fiery.
And she has continued to be that way on the sidelines as a head coach. There's a tie-up. Malaysia Fulwiley, it was interesting to watch Malaysia's face as Holly was showing her that video. And Malaysia says that she watched videos, didn't watch a lot of full games, but would watch videos of different players and would kind of pick up moves and then go out to a court on her own and work on those moves she saw on video.
It's the best way to get better, right? Go out on your own and practice and be creative.
Good hesitation by Garzone. It's an 11-point advantage. It's a 10-0 run for IU. And then the block by Holmes, no whistle before that. Allowed in here. Scalia called for the foul out on the perimeter. That is her first. Hawkins able to get it out to the perimeter. Pow working on Scalia. And then Kitts just, Sydney Parrish, what a third quarter. 3-on-2. Parrish said, give it to me and I'll shoot a three. That one was just off after she had hit a couple during this run.
Well, Indiana doing a much better job on the defensive end of the floor, being disruptive. But there's Pow, right? It seems like every time her team needs a bucket or to stop momentum, Tahina Pow is involved in a play in some way.
Coach Staley says Pow, low maintenance, high performance. Just what you want in a player.
Love that.
Parrish goes by Pow, but then ran into Kitts. For Wiley, his human highlight reel left that one short. Holmes really working against Fagan. Fagan just picked up her first personal foul. Kitts goes out. Cardozo back in. Coach Staley, that is a pixelated pattern, would you say?
I like that jacket.
Yeah.
Nice. You know, my kids play Minecraft, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Minecraft thing.
Their zone over the outstretched hands of Fagan. Bothered that just enough.
With Camila Cardozo back in the ball game, you certainly have to expect her to get a touch this possession.
"17 points, 8 of 9 from the floor for Camila. Inside, they go to Fagan. Wow, what a 1-2 punch. And Fagan got fouled.
The timing of the duck in by Fagan, perfect. Wait till the ball gets across the midline. Great job of using her body. Strong finish. And Sanaya Fagan is one of those players that throughout the course of this season has continued to earn more playing time. Dawn Staley talking to us about her early in the season, about she's doing all the right things. We just haven't had an opportunity because of the play of other players. Now when she gets the opportunity, taking full advantage.
Parrish picked up her third foul on that last play for Indiana. She has the ball now. Vargasser. Clock in the single digits now for Moore McNeil. Backs up over Cardozo and hits the three. She was 3 of 4 from distance today. And now Mackenzie Holmes. So it's Cardozo, then Fagan. And Cardozo called for the foul going over the back of Vargasser. Just the first on her.
Well, it's an Indiana Hoosier team that's going to keep battling. They're going to keep fighting. No, they've certainly grown throughout the course of the year. Talking about Chloe Moore McNeil and her growth, you see it right there, her leadership. She has been someone who's been quiet. She's earned her way into this position. Now she's much more vocal. Called out her team after the embarrassing loss at Stanford. This team has responded. They take a lot of pride in one another and playing for one another.
Bree Hall has just been called for a foul. Her first. Team foul number 5. Check that. 4. Next one will send Indiana to the line. Pardon me. Knocked out of bounds by Johnson. South Carolina being outscored by 5 in this quarter. McNeil wanted it back. Goes to her left. Puts it high off the glass to avoid Cardozo. And it's a 10-point game. South Carolina has led by as many as 22. For Wiley. Holmes rebound. And now Indiana can hold it for the line as we enter the... Holmes with the screen. Garzone goes around everybody. Cardozo blocks it. And then a foul on the rebound attempt on South Carolina. Goes to her left. Puts it high off the glass to avoid Cardozo. And it's a 10-point game. South Carolina has led by as many as 22. For Wiley. Holmes rebound. And now Indiana can hold it for the last shot of the quarter. It's a 15-4 Hoosier run. Holmes with the screen. Garzone goes around everybody. Cardozo blocks it. And then a foul on the rebound attempt on South Carolina.
Chloe Moore McNeil, a couple of big buckets for the Hoosiers. This time going to the rim. Uses the hoop as another defender, able to finish with the left. And you see the vocal Chloe Moore McNeil, and this is a role, again, she's had to grow into, but now taking great pride in being the leader of this ball club.
Second foul on Bree Hall sends Holmes to the line. NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Sweet 16 continues tonight on CBS and TBS. For more information on tournament game times and networks, go to ncaa.com. Oh, Holmes missed them both to end the quarter.
At the end of the third quarter, South Carolina 65.
Indiana outscoring South Carolina 23-16 in that quarter. When we come back, we'll hear from Dawn Staley. Unbeaten South Carolina having fun so far, but Indiana has cut their lead down to 10 as we enter the fourth quarter in this Sweet 16 game. Here is Holly Rowe with Dawn Staley.
Well, Coach, Indiana on a bit of a run right now. What concerns you the most about their getting back into this game?
Threes. Threes, that's the way they get back in the basketball game. We got to get a little bit more aggressive down here in the paint, get Camilla some touches, and see what happens.
You're going to sit down and talk to your team right now. What will be the things you focus on other than that?
Other than that, I mean, we got to put some points on the scoreboard. I thought we settled for some ill-advised shots, so we'll clean that up, get some good shots. Usually good shots go in. But we got to defend. We got to defend.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Holly.
Indiana hit 4 of its 9 threes in that third quarter as they outscored them, as you see, 23-16. South Carolina controlling the paint as one would expect. Pam Ward, Stephanie White, and Holly Rowe joining you. The winner of this game will get Oregon State coming up on Sunday. Oregon State with a very exciting win over Notre Dame to get to the Elite Eight. Mackenzie Holmes missed 2 free throws at the end of the third quarter that could have made it an 8-point ball game, and Fagan starts off the fourth quarter with a turnover. Carolina led this game by as many as 22 points with 7.5 minutes left to go in the third before Indiana went on a big run. Holmes challenging Cardozo, who has 3 blocks on the day. And then, boy, Holmes crashed to the floor and gets up holding onto her lower back.
And I'm not sure who touched it right here, but Indiana likes to run this scissors action. Didn't get what they wanted. Yeah, it looks like Raven Johnson gets a hand in there.
Parrish able to chase it down with the shot clock now to single digits.
Offense, yep. And Indiana had done a better job in the third quarter of taking care of the basketball. Only 2 turnovers, and that's what gives you an opportunity to get some scores. And Bree Hall, great job defensively right here. Yarden Garzone got going a little bit in that third quarter, and you see the extension in the push-off.
Hall tripped over her shoe for good measure. That's 3 fouls on Garzone now. Carolina with 18 points off of turnovers. Nice play. McNeil stuck her hand in. They didn't call it a held ball as Cardozo was able to rip it away quickly. Bree Hall, short. Here's more McNeil.
Yeah, you got to try to get out in transition if you're Indiana.
Scalia to Holmes. Throws it up with her left hand. A little rainbow hook.
Mackenzie Holmes is so good with both hands. And well, one time she had one-on-one right there with Cardozo and had a little bit of an advantage. And you're the Hoosiers, you got to lock down here on the defensive end. If you're South Carolina, Dawn Staley mentioned it in her interview, we got to get Camilla some touches inside.
8-point advantage. Another jumper, another miss. Tessa Johnson, and a foul on the Gamecocks.
Well, Mackenzie Holmes in transition didn't have the drop step because Camilla Cardozo recovered, but she's so good at reading her counters. A little bit of a shot fake, a left-handed hook shot, she's able to get it off, and the Hoosiers able to get a turnover on the other end.
Fagan just committed her second foul for Carolina.
That's a hook, yeah, that's a hook on Johnson.
Raven Johnson's second. Watkins comes in for Fagan. South Carolina with a couple of quick fouls.
I think Indiana's got to find a way to get Scalia a touch too. She's been quiet in the second half. They typically run her off of a lot of screening action.
There she is with the ball. Guarded by Johnson. Back to Holmes, who took steps with Cardozo.
Missed opportunities. Missed opportunities for Indiana. You can't afford those when you're playing a team like South Carolina. And now Dawn Staley calling the play. Again, look to get a touch for Camila Cardoso.
Bree Hall missed everything.
Those are the ill-advised shots that Dawn Staley's talking about. They were hot early. 5 threes in the first quarter, only 2 since. So again, if you're Indiana, you're picking your poison. You still want them shooting those shots.
Holmes is in the paint without Cardoso on her. Now she comes up to set a screen. Parrish for 3. The Hoosiers are only down 5.
How big has Sydney Parrish been in the second half for the Indiana Hoosiers?
Watkins driving on Parrish, lost it. Tie up, possession arrow, points to the Hoosiers.
For Chloe Moore-McNeil, it looked like she wanted a clear out because she had a mismatch. She draws a secondary defender, and Sydney Parrish steps up and knocks down her 3rd three of the second half.
The advantage is only 5. There's a good look at Sydney Parrish. 2 years at Indiana after a couple of years at the University of Oregon, came back home. She's from the Indianapolis area. Garzone for 3. Just off the back rim, and nothing but white jerseys underneath for the rebound. That would have cut it to 2, and this place would have exploded.
You got to get Cardoso a touch here. You've got to get her a look inside. She doesn't have to shoot it, but she's got to touch it.
Timeout taken by Dawn Staley. A significant lead has been whittled down to 5. We'll take the timeout. Sweet 16 in Albany.
Indiana shooting lights out in the second half, but look at the soft defense that South Carolina's playing right now. Going under on the handoff, Yarden Garzone knocks down a 3. The space right here for Chloe Moore-McNeil. We got 2 bigs trying to guard in the 2-man, and in transition, Sydney Parrish, a little bit of a pass fake and a wide open lane to the rim. And here on the clear out in the ISO, helping off with a ball side corner. Dawn Staley talked about in her interview with Holly, we've got to tighten it up on the defensive end of the floor.
A lot at stake, not just an Elite 8 appearance. South Carolina going for the first undefeated season in women's basketball since Brianna Stewart's last season at UConn. They've been up by 22, and they're trying to get to their 4th straight Elite 8. But Indiana has hit 11 threes against them. That's tied for the most that South Carolina has given up in a game all year.
In a 20-4 run. South Carolina still not able to get Cardoso. They finally get it to her down low. Every time.
Yep. They did go away from that. Even though Dawn Staley told Holly Rowe that get her more touches. They continue to throw up jumpers.
Well, there's nobody that can guard her. You got to keep giving her touches. She doesn't have to shoot it every time. As Garzone gets the nice bounce. But that forces the defense to collapse. Cardoso's a willing and capable passer. She will get it back out if it's not there. Watch a pin in.
Nice swim move there by the freshman Tessa Johnson.
See, that's what happens. You get sucked into helping off of that big that makes the post entry pass, and then it opens up the little pin in.
Holmes does not look to shoot the 3 that time. Scalia misses to the right, and then a foul on Johnson, Tessa Johnson.
Sarah Scalia has not been able to get herself going in the second half, but Cardoso has. You give her a touch, she's going to make a play. And on the other end, Garzone, a great job of creating a little bit of space, and then she gets the friendly bounce.
Second chance on this trip down the floor for the Hoosiers. Holmes with the switch now has Watkins on her, and then she dribbled it out of bounds.
The timing was just off a little bit to get Mackenzie Holmes, and it looks like Ashlyn Watkins stripped that off of her.
14th turnover for Indiana. Pow with the floater, just rimmed out. Great hustle by Watkins to save the possession.
And Cardozo to keep it alive.
Cardozo fouled by Holmes as we have a timeout in Albany. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Indiana now only down by 7 after trailing by 22. And Steph White, you said coming into this game, the Hoosiers would need a lot of threes to win.
Well, they've got 11 so far in this ball game, and they've been exceptional in the second half, finding the open threes, knocking them down. It's going to take, I said 15 plus. It certainly is, and they're doing a good job, but you can't afford to have missed opportunities in terms of half-court offense. You got to get a shot up every time.
Today's Star Story is brought to you by Honda. Sydney Parrish has been contributing. She has 4 of their 11 made threes, and Cardozo, when she gets the ball in the low block, has been unstoppable. Indiana trailed by as many as 22 points. If they come back to win, it would be the largest comeback victory in the history of this tournament. Back in 2017, Texas A&M was down 21-10 and came back to win. Still 4 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. Cardozo at the free throw line after being fouled by Mackenzie Holmes right before the last break. For the 4th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. 1 out of 2 for Cardozo. She's got 20 points.
Parrish got a hand on it.
It's deflected, but saved in by Cardozo.
Got to get Cardozo a touch again.
Guarded by Holmes, who has 3 fouls. Shot clock at 5 for Watkins. And it's taken away on the baseline by Scalia. 5 on 4 right now momentarily for Indiana. Parrish for 3. Sydney Parrish gets it back to a 5-point deficit.
Pam, it's baffling to me how Camila Cardozo's not getting a touch. You've got someone who cannot be stopped one-on-one, who's shown that she's a willing, capable, and good passer from the low block position.
Single digits on the shot clock again.
And she's calling for it. She's calling for the ball, but she's getting it off the block now. Get it to the wing.
Now she's in the block. Garzone came over to help, and they ran out of time.
I mean, this is terrific defensive rotation by Sarah Scalia, textbook. And then you're able to get out in transition. Sydney Parrish, who has been so hot in the second half, stays that way and knocks down a big 3.
Parrish 5 of 10 on her threes this afternoon. 19 points, 1 off her season high. McNeil picked up her dribble. Parrish kicks it out. Holmes wide open, short. Good look for Holmes.
Sure was.
Raven Johnson dribbling in and rolls in a tough one.
Raven Johnson doesn't take a lot of shots, but she takes the right shots, and she makes them.
Lead back to 7.
Scalia coming back in the corner.
Running off screens. over Cardozo. Nothing but net for Sarah Scalia. And now it's just a 4-point lead. Dawn Staley letting her team play on. Now they go into Cardozo.
Every time. She needs to get a touch every single time down the floor.
Inside 2 minutes to go. Parrish diving into the middle where she's fouled while shooting.
Well, Indiana likes to run this play. Scalia comes off right behind Yardin-Garzone, who tight curls it. Defense gets lost. Sarah Scalia knocks down a big one. They've run this play a couple of times throughout the game, and on the other end, just give the ball to Cardozo inside and let her go to work. Dawn Staley has said, I've challenged her to be more aggressive. She has shown that no one can stop her. Keep feeding the big girl.
Sydney Parrish, 78% free throw shooter on the season. Her first trip to the line today.
Sid Parrish told us yesterday, you know, I've been thinking a lot about this offseason, the 2-week break in between the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. She said, I saw a lot of teams posting pictures that they were on vacation. We were back in the gym working our butts off. She said, I've been thinking about that and knowing just how ready we are. Don't think anybody thought that'd be 4 points in South Carolina, but here they are.
Here they are indeed. Pow Pow missed.
Indiana doing a much better job of securing the defensive glass.
Scalia. Lauren McNeil, Cardozo knocked away momentarily, but that gave Holmes a clear path.
How about that? Not by design, but probably the easiest shot Mackenzie Holmes has had all night long.
And with just under 1 minute to go, it's a 2-point game, and the MVP arena erupting.
I mean, not the best angle for that pass. Cardozo on the high side, but the deflection actually took her out of position and got Mackenzie Holmes probably the easiest bucket she's had the entire ball game. And Pam, it's been offensive execution for Indiana. Again, lead the nation in field goal percentage. They've gotten a lot of high percentage looks. They didn't make them in the first quarter. They've been making them in the second half.
Certainly has been a different story. They have hit 58% from the floor in the second half, including 7 of 14 threes, to come back from 22 down.
And again, if you're South Carolina, Camila Cardozo a touch. It doesn't have to be on the front side. You can run an action to get it to her on the backside off of a ball reversal. Indiana continuing to play in the gap. You can move the basketball wherever you want to. She doesn't have to shoot it, but she's got to touch it.
23 seconds on the shot clock. Raven Johnson looking for someone. Yeah, Watkins just broke free. Cardozo back out. Johnson for three. Huge.
How about it? Raven Johnson a year ago was waved off at the three-point line. Big time bucket by Raven Johnson.
5-point advantage. Lauren McNeil over to Holmes, who hits a tough runner. Johnson slows it down now with a 3-point lead and about 5 seconds difference between the two clocks.
Well, Raven Johnson understanding time and score, slows it down. I mean, this is big time shot. No hesitation whatsoever by Raven Johnson. You know, now you're Indiana. There's a 4.5-second difference. They're going to continue to foul, but Pow Pow's not the one you want to get the ball. An 86% free throw shooter. You know, there was a time there, it was a little over 5-second difference. I'm not sure Indiana had to foul, right? But you worry about offensive rebounding. They still have fouls to give. They're trying to extend the game.
Parrish's turn to commit a foul. Her fourth.
Sydney Parrish. That's her fourth personal. Team's fifth of the
That
quarter.
is team foul number 5. It puts South Carolina in the bonus, and Raven Johnson just hit a 3, just her 22nd 3 of the year in this her 34th game.
Got to box out. Got to box out if you're Indiana, because if Raven Johnson doesn't make this shot, you got to secure the rebound.
Not a big one. To get it back to a 2-possession game.
Indiana calls 30 seconds.
Indiana still has 2 timeouts left after this one. Both teams in the bonus. Ashlyn Watkins doing some talking in the huddle. All right, so Indiana has the ball down 4.
I mean, you need a quick score. You got to have a quick score now. The way they've shot the ball and how many options they have off of off-ball screening action. I like off-ball screening action. You can get yourself a quick 2, or you can maybe get yourself a 3. But you got to be talking offense, get a score, then we got to foul right away.
Indiana trying to get back to the Elite 8 for only the 2nd time in its history. And South Carolina back-to-back unbeaten regular seasons. They had it spoiled in the Final Four by Iowa last year, and here they are in the Sweet 16 in a dogfight with Indiana. Moore McNeil inbounds.
You've got timeouts if you have trouble getting the ball inbounds.
Winner gets Oregon State on Sunday. Here we go. Must-score situation for the Hoosiers. Moore McNeil, fouled.
Yep, he put pressure on South Carolina to defend without fouling. Chloe Moore McNeil has been good at getting to the rim. She goes up, and you see just coming over the top, Raven Johnson comes down on the elbow of Chloe Moore McNeil. Chloe Moore McNeil is left-handed. That's still a tough shot to finish if you stay straight up.
McNeil's first trip to the line this afternoon. One out of 2. Down to a 3-point advantage with just over 16 seconds left to go. Dawn Staley calls a timeout. South Carolina advances the ball into the front court.
Well, you've got to try to get a 5-second call if you're Indiana. Then you got to foul right away if the ball comes in. You don't want the ball to get into Hina Paopau's hands. So you want to make sure that you're denying her the basketball, allow anyone else to get it. You know, Tessa Johnson, if she comes in the ball game, she's an 85% free throw shooter. So if you have both of those in the ball game, it makes it really difficult. And it looks like she might be coming in the ball game.
Everybody else no better than 69% for South Carolina. I want to remind you that coming up, plenty more basketball. Cameron Brink and Stanford taking on NC State. First of 2 Sweet 16 games coming your way tonight from Portland, Oregon. And meanwhile, boy, Albany, this is off to a tremendous start. Notre Dame just getting nipped by Oregon State in our first game. And now South Carolina holding on here for dear life against Indiana. They were up 14 at the half, led by as many as 22. Foul on the perimeter, and that's Tessa Johnson, who you talked about, the freshman from Minnesota, who's hitting 85% from the floor.
The team is overlooked. Into the game for Indiana, number 33, Sydney Parrish. Number 54,
Mackenzie Holmes, what a career she has had for Indiana.
Number 5, Tessa Johnson.
And now the true freshman. Johnson goes to the line. Sydney Parrish has just been sent to the Indiana bench. She's got some blood on her leg that will be quickly bandaged. nice cleaned off.
They weren't fast enough with the wrap over there.
Yeah.
If there's a miss on this free throw, you have to get the rebound if you're Indiana. They have timeouts.
Nothing but net for the freshman to get the lead back up to 4. Indiana calls its second to last timeout.
Indiana calls 30 seconds. Timeout.
Situation where you don't need a 3.
I mean, it's a 2-possession game, so if you have a quick 3, sure, you're going to take it. But again, put some pressure on the defense. Look to attack right away. It's got to be a quick score. You don't have time to run multiple actions once the ball comes in bounds. You can run some multiple actions before it comes in. But the way they've been shooting the 3, if you can get a quick one, yes, take it. If not, you got to get it to the rim.
South Carolina 34-0 on the season. They've had some close calls, not many. Some slow starts. They got off to a great start here today, but it's Indiana that has really come back incredibly here in the second half.
They really have. They really have. They've shown resilience, shown toughness. And if you're South Carolina, you say no 3s, no fouls. 2s don't hurt us. We've got a timeout. We can advance the basketball. No 3s, no fouls.
Both teams in the bonus. Warren McNeil guarded by Raven Johnson. Running Scalia off a screen. Garzone got it blocked by Watkins. Took a couple of seconds off the clock, but it's still Indiana ball.
What a play by Ashlyn Watkins. My goodness, she covered some ground.
Warren McNeil over to Scalia.
How'd it go?
Oh, Cardozo's out on her.
We don't have time for this.
Scalia misses, rebound. Scalia. Watkins grabs it as time expires. And the South Carolina Gamecocks escape with a 79-75 win. They're going to the Elite Eight for the 4th straight time.
Well, certainly what an outstanding effort by the Indiana Hoosiers to be able to close that gap and make this a ball game. South Carolina, too much Camila Cardozo, and how about multiple players hitting big-time shots in key moments for the Gamecocks.
And Mackenzie Holmes with tears in her eyes, peaking with her career ending today collegiately. And they go down, but they go down fighting to the very end as they lose by 4. Oregon State and South Carolina will play on Sunday. A trip to the Final Four will go to the victors. But the Gamecocks got all they could handle by a very gritty Indiana team. Terry Morin said coming into this that they had nothing to lose. Nobody expects us to win. We're just going to go out, not be afraid, play Hoosier basketball, and it was just, they fell short just by that much.
Well, that's exactly how they played. Like they had nothing to lose. They withstood multiple runs with runs of their own. But South Carolina shows you why they've been the most dominant team in the country all season long to come out with a big win.
Now for our Capital One rewarding performance. Holly Rowe with Raven Johnson.
Well, Raven, they had closed within 2 points late in this ball game, and you stepped up and hit maybe the biggest 3 of your season. How were you prepared to take that shot in that moment?
I mean, going from last year, people sagged off me. I mean, you can't sag off me this year, and I think I worked over the summer just working on my shot, so I think it was just, you know, one of the practice shots that I work on every day. They just come with confidence. So.
You told me you were taking 200 3-point shots a day. How proud of you that you were able to step up and hit it in a pressure-filled moment?
I'm very proud of myself because a lot of people, they don't know what I went through last year, and a lot of people would have quit basketball. I mean, I'm just so proud of myself and how I faced adversity through that, and I'm just glad that, you know, this season I'm showing people what I can really do.
Indiana made this game close down the stretch. What are you proud of that your team did to fight through and get this win?
We were disciplined. We followed those game plan. I think we trust one another. I mean, that's what it's all about. We have a strong bond, and if we just keep our feet in our moment, just be who we are, I think no one can stop us but us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Raven Johnson with that cold-blooded 3 that put the game ultimately out of reach. And South Carolina, now 35-0, will take on Oregon State on Sunday. So that'll do it here for us in Albany. Coming up next, NC State and Stanford from out in Portland. Many thanks to Stephanie White, Holly Rowe, Seth Miller, our incredible crew. I'm Pam Ward as we say, so long from Albany. Let's get you to the studio.